On the edge of Armageddon? Why the Ukraine conflict is dangerously similar to the Cuban Missile Crisis. History records that on October 16, 1962, then U.S. President John F. Kennedy received information from the CIA about the deployment of Soviet missiles in Cuba. This event was the formal beginning of the Cuban Missile Crisis, the first, and for a long time, the only event in world history that brought humanity to the brink of nuclear war. Back then, cool heads who had not yet forgotten the horrors of a real war were able to prevent a catastrophe. Whether today's leaders will show the same restraint is far from certain. Apartment building ablaze after crash of Russian military plane. An apartment building in the Russian city of Yeysk has caught fire after a plane crash on Monday evening. The Russian Ministry of Defense has confirmed that the aircraft in question was a military Su-34 multipurpose fighter jet. The military added that the plane crashed soon after taking off from a local airfield for a training flight. The jet's pilots ejected to safety. According to their report, one of the plane's engines caught fire soon after the takeoff, the ministry said. A video from the scene published by the MASH news media outlet shows a multi-story apartment building engulfed in flames, with plumes of thick black smoke rising into the. Losing is not an option for Putin. Former Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz has told Germany's Bild am Sonntag newspaper that EU leaders must pursue a peaceful solution to the conflict in Ukraine, as losing is not an option for Russia. Everyone rightly wants a victory for Ukraine, he said. But losing is not an option for Russian President Vladimir Putin. NATO de facto involved in Ukraine conflict. NATO has de facto become involved in the Ukraine conflict, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told Russia 1 TV on Sunday, adding that this will not prevent Moscow from following through with its plans and achieving its military goals in Ukraine. The Kremlin spokesman acknowledged, however, that NATO's interference makes it significantly harder for Russia to conduct its operation, though it does not change the goals. Ukraine live briefing: Moscow decries base shooting, Iran planning to send missiles, drones to Russia. Global impact. Ukraine has sent about 8 million tons of food to countries since it resumed shipping in July, Zelensky said. He warned in his Sunday speech that problems with agricultural exports could lead to an international famine. In a UN-brokered deal this summer, Russia ended a blockade that was tying up Ukrainian exports in the Black Sea. Ukraine supplied 10% of the world's grain last year, according to the United Nations. The European Union should lead a tribunal to investigate alleged Russian war crimes, the foreign ministers of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania said in a statement. The rules-based international order, which we all strive to defend, cannot survive if there is impunity for the deeds that violate it most blatantly, the statement says. In March, the State Department said there was evidence that Russian troops had committed war crimes in Ukraine. Though officials have said it would be unlikely that Putin would be tried at The Hague while he remains in power. The ministers requested that the tribunal would help eventual prosecution at the International Criminal Court. The EU Foreign Affairs Council is scheduled to meet Monday. Police in Norway arrested a Russian man and charged him with flying a drone, which is forbidden under sanctions. It is the second such incident in a week. Officials are on alert after a number of recent drone sightings near Norwegian oil and gas infrastructure and last month's breaches of the Nord Stream pipelines built to carry Russian gas to Europe, which have raised suspicions of sabotage. France is set to train up to 2,000 Ukrainian soldiers who will be assigned to military units in the country for a few weeks. Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu told the newspaper Le Parisien on Saturday. Thousands of Ukrainian troops have trained in Britain since the start of the war, assisted by military allies including Canada, New Zealand and Nordic nations. 1/4 of Ukrainians will be living in poverty by the year's end. A top World Bank official estimated in an interview with Reuters, blaming economic chaos unleashed by Russia's invasion and attacks on the country's critical civilian infrastructure. The current figure is already a tenfold increase on Ukraine's pre-war poverty levels, he says, and is set to climb even higher in 2023. Ukraine decided to join EU 1,000 years before it was founded, Kyiv. Ukraine has always been a friend of Europe and effectively decided to become part of the European Union at the end of the 10th century, the country's foreign ministry has said. Ukraine and Europe were always friends. In 988, Prince Volodymyr converted the Kyiv Rus to Christianity and decided that we need to join the EU, the ministry tweeted on Friday, using the spelling preferred by the authorities in Kyiv. The ministry added that this was the moment when Ukraine became part of the Western world. Ukraine attacked Donetsk with American missiles, Mayor. Ukrainian forces have carried out a strike on Donetsk using the US-made HIMARS multiple rocket launch system, with one missile hitting the city administration building. Local authorities claimed on Sunday 4 people were reportedly wounded. Alexei Kolenzin, the mayor of Donetsk, posted a video on his Telegram account depicting a pile of rubble around what appeared to be the city administration. Another clip uploaded by Kiliman shows extensive damage to the building, as well as several wrecked and charred cars nearby. According to the Territorial Defense of the Donetsk People's Republic, 4 people were wounded during the shelling. Thanks for your attention.